All right, what's going on, Tech fans, man? As y'all know, the schedule dropped last night, man, at 9 to 11 p.m. So we now officially know who Georgia Tech is playing early on, or I should not even early on, during the season, right? And I will say this, last year they had a really tough schedule. I think this schedule is way more favorable this year for the Yellow Jackets compared to last year and the opponents and teams that they had to play, right? Now, looking at it in its totality, you got to play up against Colorado first, right? Good test to see where you at, right? Obviously, they ended up losing Shedeur Sanders. They lose Travis Hunter. But they're going to have some pieces coming in, hit the portal and everything like that. I think they will be more active in the spring transfer portal as well as they continue to build out their roster. How will quarterback look? Will that transfer from Liberty live up to it, or will they start 5-star Juju Lewis? We'll find out soon enough, but a great test for both teams. Then you get a couple filler games, right? You obviously got Gardner-Webb, I think is a filler game, and then you open up ACC play against Clemson, right? And if you're a Tech fan, you feel really good because most of your games and your hardest games are at home, right, this year, instead of having to go on the road or potentially be in a neutral site, right? These teams have to come to you, right? When we look at the Clemsons of the world, right? When we look at Virginia Tech, who I think should be better next season, Syracuse, who should be right there next season, they're coming to your house. They're coming to your place. So when you have that, you feel pretty good, right? How would that Clemson defense look under defensive coordinator Tom Allen, right? How much better would they be able to fly around to the ball? You know what I'm saying? Can Haynes King make up for, his wrongs last time they played, right? Remember, that was 2 years ago. He struggled on the road against Clemson, right? And I think that's a matchup. I know they don't play every year, but I think Georgia Tech Clemson should be a game that is played every single year. You know what I'm saying? I think two teams, I'm not saying it's a rivalry or anything like that, but I think two teams in the ACC, obviously the standard right now is the Clemson Tigers, right? That's when you look up and you're like, okay, who would I want to measure up against? It's Clemson. They've won a lot of titles in the last few years, ACC titles. I think that'd be a great game every single year for Georgia Tech to play, in addition to the rivalry with Georgia, right? Just to see where you are. And under head coach Dabo Swinney, Clemson's going to be good, right? Then you play another filler game against Temple. Feel pretty good about that one. And this marks a 3-game homestand for the Yellow Jackets at home. So you feel pretty good about that. 3 straight games at your place. And I think, like I said, that Clemson game should be a headliner game, in my humble opinion. Then you hit the road to Wake Forest. Wake Forest is kind of up in the air, right? A team that's rebuilding, last few seasons, trying to figure things out and everything like that. How will they look this year? Will they obviously they'll have a new quarterback at the helm? How would that position look for him? A lot of question marks coming out of Wake Forest. Hilton Deuce Alexander end up transferring out. What will be the marquee of the team right there? That could be a trap game, but they should be able to come out on top, in my opinion. Then you play Virginia Tech, right? You can kind of get your lick back, get your get back against the Hokies at home, right? Barring anything unforeseen, you got a good quarterback room, right? Haynes King should be healthy the whole year. Obviously, he had the AC shoulder joint sprain against North Carolina, but you feel he should be good. Regardless, you got Aaron Philo, right? But Kyron Jones likely last year with the Hokies. You have him at home. You should feel pretty good about that one on October 11th. Should be able to do your thing at home against the Hokies. Next up, against Duke, right? Duke is in a little bit of turmoil currently right now. Obviously got head coach Manny Diaz, who does a good job, but Malik Murphy transferred out, right? Who's going to be the starter week 1 for, obviously, the Blue Devils, right? No Star Thomas anymore. He hit the portal. How would that look? I think Duke has to get some more additions to their team this upcoming year. So that's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens there, losing a lot of the key position players offensively. All right, then you look at Syracuse, that hot, potent offense, right? How would that look in year 2 under head coach Fran Brown? No longer going to have Kyle McCord. McCord has hit the NFL draft, right? Had some really good pieces. Trevor Pena last year, Orton Gaston, right? You had some pieces that could go. Gonna lose a couple of those pieces. So how would that look for Syracuse going into next year? That's gonna be an interesting test to see as well. At home, get your lick back with some comments made after the game and things like that. It's gonna be interesting to see. That could be something that's budding as well. Obviously, Syracuse won pretty handily with their offense last time, but I think this defense for Georgia Tech will be a lot better. All right, next up, obviously you got NC State Wolfpack. Another team you're going to face on the road. So that starts a 2-game road stand. But as you see, like I said, a whole bunch of goals. So the goal means at home. So a whole bunch of home games for the Yellow Jackets. So that's the probably toughest stretch. You hit 2 games on the road. You play NC State. We'll see how they look this year, right? Didn't have their best season for the Wolfpack this year, but should be better, in my humble opinion. Moving forward, that is a tough environment to play in from what I've heard from recruits and different people. And then Boston College could be a trap game, right? Well, let's say you having a good record. Let's say you 7-1 or 8-1 hitting to this stretch. You know what I'm saying? You've handled your business against these tough opponents in this resume, right? Then you play Boston College. You're feeling good, feeling yourself. You got a potential shot at the playoff. You know what I'm saying? Shot at the ACC championship. That could be potentially a trap game against Boston College. We'll see how they look with Coach Bill O'Brien. Got Dylan Lonergan, that who transferred in, who's going to be their starter week 1. Thomas Calistanos obviously transferred down to Florida State, and will be Gus Malzahn. So that's going to be interesting to see as well on 11-15. But the good thing is, look at this, y'all. You get a week, right? So recalibrate your thoughts. After NC State, you get to come home, rest, go through another week of practice, then go on the road again to Boston College. So that's a very important week. That 11-1 after, you get a week off November 8th, and then you go in and you play. So that's going to be a key week to continue to kind of watch out for Georgia Tech. And remember, last year they had a couple buys in there. You know what I'm saying? I think they had like 2 or 3 buys. Not the same, y'all. That's one of the biggest differences I see right now currently, right? 8:30, 9-6, 9-13, 9-20, 9-27. Then you get a bye, right, after the Wake Forest game. Then you get Virginia Tech. You go all the way through, all the way up into NC State. You know what I'm saying? Then you get another bye. So last year they had way more buys compared to this schedule. I think they had at least 3. This year, only 2. So we'll see how that fits them as well. And then you're going to play Pittsburgh at home, right? How will Eli Holstein look? And his next year looked really good the first 7 games of true freshmen. You know what I'm saying? That Pittsburgh defense was really good last year and flashed in some ways. You know, struggled towards the end, but flashed early on. How would it look against Pitt? Another key game at home. And then last but not least, clean old-fashioned hate at Mercedes-Benz. Georgia Tech got a lot of fight for this, but they're making some bands from this, man. Making some meals, making a couple meals from this, and doing this move. I think it's smart. When you look at the NIL fund and what they're trying to do, whenever we look at Georgia Tech, they've always been a program, in my opinion. I know they haven't seen the results necessarily on the gridiron the last few years. You know what I'm saying? Last 2 years they have, though. Consecutive winning seasons, first time since 2013 and 2014. But when you look at innovation, you look at forward thinking, this is Georgia Tech, right? I think that's what's going to separate them in this new era as we enter into college football, right? Doing things like this where it's questionable. You'd be like, oh, why did they do that? Why would they not want to have it at home? Georgia just had it at home. But when you look at, hey, we can potentially get money from this. We can put this to our NIL fund. You know what I'm saying? We trying to renovate some of these buildings and facilities all around for all our athletics, right? And we're trying to capitalize, you know, on different things that can help our team out in the future and that can bring them in. Because like I said, NIL is real. You're going to have revenue sharing soon as they pass that here, I believe, in the summer. So Georgia Tech, I think, is being very forward-thinking and thinking ahead. How can we potentially help our, not only program, our football program, but how can we also help out our university, right? Our institution, our athletics program. And I think it's very smart for Georgia Tech to actually act in that way and think about that. So that's going to be a key game for them. I like that they made that move against Georgia. How will you rebound after an 8 overtime loss? I think an all-time game in college football. How do you rebound from that this upcoming year, man? Can you actually hand Georgia a loss in Mercedes-Benz? Everybody's going to have their eyes on it. Last year, it was Black Friday. You know what I'm saying? I think this year it's on a Saturday. And that's my bad. It's actually on a Friday again this year. I just looked it up in the calendar. So another Black Friday type game. All eyes are going to be on it. Everybody going to want to see. It's probably going to be 7:30 p.m. kickoff at the Dome on a Friday. And you don't get much bigger than that, man. So I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens, man. But that's my thoughts. Really good schedule. I think Georgia Tech should be good to come out, you know, on top. A really favorable schedule. As we get more towards the season, I'll do a prediction, a breakdown of how good I think they can perform this year. But I just want to get my reaction to the opponents and the teams that they're going to play.